Hi, and welcome to MidDay Café, and we are your hosts. I'm Michael Gannotti
I'm Tyrelle Barnes.
and we are here for your weekly MidDay Café. What do we got going on?
We have a special guest today, Mike.
We do.
Chris Bortlik.
Ooh.
He is an architect in the Boston MTC, Microsoft Technology Center, and he's the global lead for Viva across all of the 40 global technology.
Does he have an Elvis jumpsuit?
He might. He needs one because he is a rock star.
If you're a lead on Viva, and really, Chris really is a rock star. But keep going.
Yeah, so we have him today. So we're going to hear more about that and the services and engagements that we provide via our MTCs. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about other offerings around that we have. And then we're going to hopefully be off for a great weekend.
Yes, we are. But speaking of weekends, so it's coming up. And I do know I have preview to what she's going to say. You have something very exciting happening leading into the weekend.
I do. I'm actually going to be a guest on a podcast later today. It's going to be recorded, so I think it'll be played.
She's cheating on me.
It's called Happy at Work. So please join. It should be exciting with a colleague from Microsoft, Daniel Grossi,
very nice,
who is also a rock star that I've worked with over the years.
Very nice. And you have something else though happening.
The Blue Ridge Brutal tomorrow.
Yes,
100-mile ride with a good friend of mine. So
burn off a few calories for me. I can use them. Maybe I could get rid of a little of this chin here.
Yeah, it does help. Like I get to eat a lot, so I like that part of it.
That's a good thing. Yeah. I eat a lot. I just don't burn it off.
Well, have you still been doing your walks with your dog, with your puppy?
I will not comment on that. I have not, and I need to get back on Monday. But yeah, so actually, I have a new program that I'm starting after we have guests right now. So
I heard you're gonna be a butler this weekend.
I'm kind of a butler. I'm Chives. Chives the butler because my wife is having girls' weekend.
Yay!
And so it's a number of her college friends, 5 of her college friends.
Oh, how fun!
In our house, and yeah, it is fun. I was friends with all of them even before I started dating my wife.
Wow!
So it makes it fun.
Really
and but tonight I'm taking them to a brewery. I'll be the designated driver, and then tomorrow I'm taking them out on the local Jordan Lake, out on our boat, and we're going to spend the day out. And
it's supposed to be beautiful.
It's supposed to be beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, so it'll be nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, so a lot of fun. But anything else on your end happening?
Well, my car broke down Tuesday.
That's what I've been getting to.
I was lucky to get off of I-40 just in time. And Tuesday was the really hot day where we had the crazy storms.
Yes.
So I feel very blessed. I escaped all that. I got off, and my daughter was able to pick me up, and I had my car towed.
So you got before the storm, she picked you?
Yes.
Good.
Before the storms. And I barely got to the car rental place. They had like no power. They were leaving. I'm like, wait, I rented a car. And so they went in and they had to like use their cell phone and call another office and do all that to pull me up on the computer. Because they're like, oh, we don't have power. There's no power in the lights and everything. Yeah. So it was pretty crazy. But yeah, then I got the text, it needs a new engine text. So and I feel a little bad because I feel like maybe it was me trying to back the U-Haul trailer up my driveway like 6 weeks ago. My driveway is like 8 to 9% grade. Yes. and this light came on. It's a drivetrain malfunction. Stop immediately.
Yes.
But the car kept running just fine.
So you kept going.
I kept driving it. So I feel like I might have killed it too.
You thought the light was a suggestion.
Yes, because the performance was the same. I mean, don't you go by like how it feels and drive?
I tend to, when there is a light that comes on, I tend to pay attention. But
that's okay. That's a learning for me.
That's all right. But you got a new car out of it.
I got a new car.
That's fun.
I am really excited.
That's good. Good. All right. Well, why don't we take a look? We'll go ahead. Do you want to tee up, say anything about him before we start, or?
Well, I know he's just he's going to explain the types of engagements we have through the MTCs, and how customers can get those set up and everything. And I think after that we'll just
Talk a little bit more.
Yeah,
very good. All right, so let's go ahead to our interview with Mr. Chris Bortlik, rock star.
Hi, Chris Bortlik. Welcome.
Hello, great to see you both.
Thanks so much for joining us today. So, Chris, you are the lead architect at the Boston Microsoft Technology Center, or MTC. And we work together often, and I just would love for you to share a little bit more about the MTC. Some folks might not be familiar with them, and also just kind of the latest and greatest build out and engagements that we're doing there today.
That sounds great. Yeah, no, a pleasure to see you, Tyrelle. I know we've worked together with a number of customers, and Michael's been a good friend and mentor of mine during the 15 years at Microsoft, both when I was in the field as well as when he was part of the MTC in Philadelphia. So, yeah, folks that don't know about the Microsoft Technology Centers yet, we have around 40 worldwide, 15 across North America. I like to joke that the MTCs are not free, but we're included with what customers are paying Microsoft in terms of software and services. And really what we do here is we work with our customers and their account teams to tailor and craft custom agendas that hopefully will meet or exceed their expectations. And there's really 4 types of engagements we do. We do high-level envisioning and ideation, kind of design thinking sessions. We do strategy sessions, more of the art of the possible. We do more technical architecture design sessions. And we also do things like rapid prototypes and hackathons to help customers with getting hands-on experience.
Yeah, it's really fun. So what are the I just remembered, you both are Platinum Club winners. I'm in the presence of greatness here. I just want to make sure everybody knows these are 2 red jackets, and they'll be going to Hawaii together soon, right?
Yep, in October. So yeah,
Awesome.
really privileged. I know as Michael that it's really building upon a lot of work that we've done with a number of people across the company. That in my case was very fortunate to work on as part of the MTCs. We have a shared we call it an experience platform where we build demonstrations that we leverage worldwide. And it's been a project that we've been on for about 6 or 7 years, and that and a few other things. Very fortunate to get the recognition on behalf of the team.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. In fact, I've heard that you demo to Satya sometimes, Chris. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm happy to say that I did have the privilege about 2 years ago to present virtually to Satya Nadella, our CEO, and his leadership team. I like to say it was 5 minutes of fame, and I'm still here with the company to report, so it must have gone okay.
That was good.
But it was really neat. It was around the time we were coming back into the office during COVID. We had been remote for a full year, and we're now back in the office, and we're delivering more, certainly full remote sessions, but also hybrid sessions. And really, Satya and the leadership team, including Rajesh, who heads up all of Microsoft 365 engineering, Amy Hood, our CFO, a number of our leaders, they wanted to experience the Technology Center as a customer might experience. And it was really an interesting dialogue. We got to present. We got a lot of questions and feedback. And really great thing is our leaders were able to ask us very direct questions around the customer experience. They were able to give us feedback, and ultimately it helped to shape some additional product investments that we've done inside of Teams and team room systems, as well as some of the physical investments we've made to refresh some of our equipment in our centers worldwide. So it was a great experience. I learned a lot, and I'm happy to say I'm still here.
Awesome. Yeah, and I got to join you not too long ago up in the Boston MTC, and I noticed that we had a really cool hospital room built out with all our technology. Was that one of the newer things that came out of maybe some of the conversations and feedback?
Yeah, so the session we did was really focused in 3 parts. One was around what do the customers see in a briefing room? What do they see in what we call our experience zone? So as you mentioned, we have a number of industry experiences. We have certainly horizontal experiences like artificial intelligence, security and compliance, but Boston is privileged to have really a number of key customers in healthcare, financial services, manufacturing, retail, and education. So in our healthcare experience zone, We have experiences set up focused around payers, providers, and life sciences. And we actually have an experience to go through what might it like be in a home care setting, what might it be like in a doctor's setting, what might it be in an operating room. And it's a number of Microsoft first-party experiences, such as Microsoft Teams, but also partner experiences like Improvada and Teladoc. And Microsoft recently acquired a small company called Nuance, and their corporate headquarters is right next door to the Boston MTC. And we've been fortunate to deliver engagements with them, and we actually showcase some Nuance innovations around things like DAX and other technologies to make it easier for physicians and nurses to actually capture notes and digitize the content. And then the third part of the tour was our Envisioning Theater, which is that day in the life role-playing room. And go ahead, Mike.
No, I had a question kind of going back to the beginning. One thing that you said that I'd love for you to kind of expound on, because I think it's important and our customers understand what a great resource the MTCs are. You mentioned, you said you like to joke that it's free, but in fact, Microsoft is making a significant investment with those kind of scenarios like you're laying out, and not only in the hardware, but also in the personnel and the type of like when you talk about an ADS, can you kind of walk us through what that might look like over a day or two and who might be involved? Because it's typically not just one person, but can be several.
Yeah, it's a good question. Microsoft, as you know, at the MTC, we talk about the people, the process, and the place. Yep. So the people are certainly the architects, such as myself, but obviously, working with global black belts like Tyrelle, working with technical specialists like yourself. So it's not limited to the architects. We love to work with and learn from our peers as well as partners. The process is the whole way we plan and run engagements. But the actual place is a huge investment in terms of the physical assets, things like the Envisioning Theater, the Experience Zone, but also things like Surface Hubs and whiteboards. So an architecture design session or an ADS is really a case where, based on the audience, we might take the output of a strategy session, which Tyrelle, I know we've done a bunch around things like Microsoft Viva, our employee experience platform, as well as doing more with Copilot and other areas where maybe we do a session that's strategy where it's art of the possible in the morning, art of the practical where we solution map, and an outcome of that might be, we need to get some people together and really focus on doing a more technical architecture design session. So in the healthcare space, in a regulated industry, it might be, how do we think about things around security and compliance and privacy? How does information protection, what work should we be doing in advance to make sure when we're lighting up things like Microsoft 365 Copilot, the right people have access to the right content? Or in the case of Microsoft Viva, thinking about how do we connect in third-party systems and partners like maybe a ServiceNow or a Workday or a learning management system like a Saba or a Cornerstone or SuccessFactors or things like that. How do we really think about that from a technology perspective? And the output might then be, we need to spend some more time getting hands-on, and we want to do a rapid prototype to invest another day or so. We need to spend some more time getting hands-on, and we want to do a rapid prototype to invest another day or so, actually to build it up, improve it. So move from the whiteboard and the demonstration to actually getting hands-on with the tech.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've seen it be really powerful for the strategy sessions to include the key business function leaders as well as IT. I think I've seen customers over the years start to evolve into bringing the business and working more closely with the business, which is really the key to success. Because when IT's operating kind of on their own, it's, definitely a disconnect from what the business is looking to achieve.
Yeah, I think it's a great point, Charles. As you mentioned, a number of years ago, again, Mike, you and I were part of the early days of the BPOS, Business Productivity Online Services, in the early days of the cloud, right, 7 to 10 years ago. And a big focus on the time was really around what I actually call the plumbing. And as you both know, I have 4 daughters and a wife, and when the plumbing doesn't work, it's really, really important to make sure that that's working. And in companies, the concern was always around, how do we make sure emails are available and files are available and people can log in and their devices are available? And that's still extremely important. But what I've seen, I think you both have seen this as well, is COVID had a number of negative things, certainly, but if I could say there was a positive of it, was some of the acceleration around customers moving to and embracing the cloud and embracing hybrid and remote work. And a lot of that plumbing projects that were going to take a year or 2 years to move to Teams and Office 365 was accelerated when we all thought we were going home for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks became 2 years, and people had to get their digital estate in place. Now, as people are coming back into the office and still embracing hybrid, I'm seeing the discussion move from, should we move to the cloud, or how do I move my files and email to the cloud, to really 4 areas, right? One is around, what does the employee experience look like? And that's, to your point, Tyrelle, not just bringing in IT, it's bringing in HR, it's bringing in Corp Comm, it's bringing in the learning leadership. That discussion then might branch off into 2 different paths, right? One is, what does the physical experience look like when people are in the office, and if they're remote, and how do we have a great and equitable experience? So that could be team room systems, it could be Surface Hubs, could be thinking about the metaverse and avatars and all of that, and it could be also then thinking about, what does the digital employee experience look like, right? So the physical experience might include facilities, whereas the digital experience might look a bit more at business process automation, things around generative AI, and maybe things like Copilot and Microsoft Syntax. But underpinning all 3 of those conversations as a common thread, especially in regulated industries like healthcare and financial services, is security, compliance, and privacy. So that's really a shift that we've seen, coming out of COVID. And again, I think you both have seen similar things as well.
Absolutely. And so timely with all the change that's coming with generative AI. That's another game changer, right? And how do we use that to be more productive and not more distracted? In fact, I was Copilot just kicked up while you were talking, Chris, and I was thinking about how this meeting and all meetings now become like these digital artifacts that can be engaged with at a consumer's leisure, really, like when it makes sense for them. So it's just fascinating, so exciting. Thanks so much
Yeah,
for spending time with us today.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, Jen, and great talking with you both.
Thank you. And we're back. So that was great. I mean, Chris is an awesome guy, but just hearing about the different experiences at the MTC, right?
Yeah.
Anything strike you in particular?
Well, a couple of things. So you've heard about all the different types of engagements and things that we touch on in those MTC sessions.
Yep.
Keep in mind that it can take 6 to 8 weeks to get a session scheduled, to get on the calendar.
Yep.
And that so reach out to your account teams, your Microsoft account teams, to talk about that. But our GBB teams, myself and my peers, in conjunction with resources like you, Mike, our technical specialists, can do like a mini MTC or a prelude to the MTC, where it's a 90-minute session. It could be 75 to 90 minutes. And we do a lot more of the discovery piece, really try to understand the priorities and business initiatives at your organization, so that we can make sure that we're honing in on, when we do the MTC session, on those places that are most important. Yeah. The other thing that's really cool is, we'll build the collateral and everything out of that and take those to like Chris Bortlik or the lead architect, depending on the MTC you're at. But you can bring partners like to the MTC sessions. Customers can bring partners. If you're working with a partner that is going to help you with the change management or with the deployment, you can absolutely include them at the MTC sessions. They are welcome to join as well. So that's one thing that we offer as well.
And that's important. I think that you can't underestimate the importance of that enough, because when we talk about the partners and those implementers, you really want to have that smooth handoff between the design session, that ADS, architectural design session, where you are solutioning and coming up with the approach, so that you're not, otherwise you meet them with that implementer, that partner that's going to be helping. And if they haven't been a part of that, there's almost like a do-over. Right?
Yeah. It is a time saver to already include your partner if you've already chosen them and you're comfortable working with them.
Yeah.
For sure. And so we talked last week about advisory partners we have for Viva, but then we have a number of partners that are already skilled up to deliver on all of the implementation piece of Viva. A lot of it's not necessarily implementing the technology. It can be with the connectors and integrations, but it's how do you change the way you're working? Yeah. How do you build out those pilot groups and learn from those pilot groups, and then scale to your organization? And what does that roadmap look like?
Right. Yeah. And I think the other thing too, like you were talking about connectors with, with the partners, that are helping with implementation, right? They can do integration. They're system integrators. And so when they come in, they already have oftentimes for a lot of the systems that may not be a part of our standard offering. Like we have, like learning's a great example. We have a whole list of learning ones. Or if we talk about connections, those, because that's really front and center, those tiles. Yes, we have connectors for Workday. I just did that with a customer. There's connectors for WorkJam and all kinds of stuff, right? ServiceNow has one. But there are a host of other services and companies that our customers engage with that are, it's not our ecosystem. And a lot of these partners have developed that IP, or at the very least are used to developing, so they already have that methodology where they can come in and quickly connect systems.
Right, and they know what to look for, kind of the things that could go wrong, and so that can really
speed things up.
Time to value for sure.
One thing about speed, you know, and you mentioned it, it's up there, you know, the whole idea that for the MTCs, we're talking 6 to 8 weeks oftentimes, they are a high value resource.
Absolutely.
And, you know, Chris talked about it in there, they're bringing not just the people, but also, you know, the hardware, the environment, that you can really get in that kind of that high value session. Like I remember when I was an architect, we would, based upon things, we would have an envisioning session as a part of that, and we would have everything mocked up and be able to show them with personas and the whole thing it working. But the real value that we used to see at the MTC, and it's good, like doing these mini sessions as prelude, can help you maximize that time.
Right.
Because when you go in, you're not just getting a Chris, as an example. You know, we would hold sessions, and based upon the customer needs that would come out of a mini session where you'd get to do a lot of this discovery up front, they're able to bring in, because they have a host of architects with different disciplines. So you might have identity and access, security, development, various ones that'll come in, and they'll be a part of that. And but they need time to line them up, to schedule them. And they are literally Tuesday through Friday, every day they're booked.
Right.
Those resources. So
yeah, in fact, we one that we did recently, we had one of the CVPs from Glenn hub in as part of the MTC, which was great, and gave that overview and that perspective to the customer. So we can really design a really customized engagement that meets customers' needs, and it takes a village, right?
And it does.
It does take a village.
It does, and although it's not free, because it's a very expensive session, it's part of Microsoft's investment in our customers.
It is.
Right? You're a customer of ours. We value you. We'll spend this time because ultimately we all want them to be successful.
Yeah.
Right?
And I mean, you can buy all the tech all day long, but you have to have it aligned with that business process and the goal that you're trying to achieve. And so it's so important to kind of be looking at all of those aspects based on your current state and you know, your vision and where you'd like to go.
You know, it just reminded me when you were saying that too. For alignment, you need to have that widespread view within the org. And one of the most valuable things I can remember, you know, when I was an architect, that sometimes we would have customers, we start off everything with discovery.
Yes.
And a lot of times they'd be like, look, you already know what we need. We want to jump right in. Let's just take them, you know, it'd be like, humor me. And we go around the table, and oftentimes it would be the first time, especially with the very large organizations, like, you know, when you're dealing with a global entity that's coming in hundreds of thousands of employees, et cetera, these various folks that would show up from different groups like security, lines of business, architecture, the developers, all these people from their various areas. Sometimes it was the first time they ever really talked to each other.
Yes.
And we would, instead of a half hour of discovery, it would blow out to 2 to 3 hours, and they would leave and say, that was the most valuable thing. My God, we had no idea. We had no, and you made those connections.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's something we can also accommodate, is like time in advance of the MTC session starting. Sometimes customers like to come in a day early, and maybe they want to use some meeting space so they can have some of that dialogue with this team that never gets together, almost like a wedding. Like,
It is.
It's one-time opportunity, right? But then we can also do that post the engagement, where the customer can go and debrief amongst themselves. So those are things that we can absolutely accommodate as well.
I still remember, I had one time a very large, they were a global manufacturing company, and huge. Their stuff's used everywhere. And I'll never forget, we had that happening during the discovery, and it blew out. And then the CIO stopped. We were just getting ready for a break. They stopped us and said, I would really like, we had a 2-day schedule.
Okay.
Thankfully for this one, because they said, instead of when we come back from the break, us then moving into the next session, can we have closed doors expressly to your point? We want to use the meeting space, turn off we're not going to record anything. We need a dialogue amongst each other, because we've uncovered a lot that was not, it was phenomenal what we did afterwards. Our time was compressed, but again, it was that time for them to have the wedding, right?
Yes.
Get together.
Right.
So yeah, MTC's super valuable. If you haven't been, you need to talk to your account team. It needs to be around something high value, but definitely, and engage the GBBs, like Tyrelle and her colleagues and myself and others. And we would love to do sessions with you to help you prepare for those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anything else going on? Any last tips, words of wisdom?
Has a nice weekend. It looks like it's going to be beautiful.
Well, here it is.
Yes, here.
Yeah, here we're going to have a beautiful weekend. If you're not having one, well, you should. The Carolinas are pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
they are.
All right. Well, with that, this is Mike.
This is Tyrelle.
Thank you for tuning in to MidDay Cafe. As always, you can find us and our colleagues at aka.ms/HLS blog. You can also find us on LinkedIn. You can find us all over the place. I'm even on X. That's what they're calling Twitter, X. I can't get used to saying that. She's not. I am. But you can find us there. And most importantly, for the podcast itself, you can find us obviously on our blog, because the video we post up there. But you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. So have a great day. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye.